What skills have you been developing? That question right there separates those who want success from those who are prepared for it. Most people think success is about desire. I want to be rich. I want to have time freedom. I want to make an impact. But let me hit you with truth. You don't get what you want. You get what you are prepared to manage. Let me break that down the way I teach it to my clients. Desire without skill is delusion. Vision without execution is hallucination. Faith without action is dead. You are where you are in life, not because you're not worthy, not because God doesn't love you, and not because someone's keeping you down, but because you're either developing the right skills or neglecting them. That's why I call them skillionaire skills, because these are the difference makers. These are the internal assets that multiply external success. Let me say it plainly. If you don't master these three skills, wealth will always be temporary, unstable, and unfulfilling. But when you master them, when you operate from a place of spiritual authority, emotional alignment, and business acumen, then you don't just chase success, you attract it, steward it, and scale it. That's what I want for you. Skill 1, character, who you are when no one is looking. Before you can earn millions, you have to be someone who can handle millions. That statement is the foundation of everything, because your income will never exceed your identity. The marketplace doesn't pay for performance alone. It rewards trust, and trust is built on character. Let's take it deeper. What is character? Character is not just about avoiding bad behavior. It's about being integral, whole, aligned, consistent. It means your thoughts, words, and actions match. It means who you are in private is the same as who you present in public. It means when God looks at you, he sees the same person your clients see and your family sees. You can fake charisma, but you can't fake character. You can have talent that opens doors, but it's your character that keeps you in the room. The Bible says in Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Character is what guides you when no one's watching. It's your internal GPS. Now let me drop something heavy on you. The reason some people feel stuck isn't because of a lack of opportunity. It's because they're violating their own integrity. Every time you tell yourself, I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to forgive that person, and you don't do it, you're not just disappointing yourself, you are eroding trust with your most important relationship, the one with yourself. And here's the kicker. You can't have confidence in someone you don't trust. And if you don't trust you, your confidence will always feel fake. That's why so many people struggle with imposter syndrome, not because they're not good enough, but because they've made promises to themselves and broken them over and over. But here's the good news. God is a redeemer. You can rebuild trust. You can reestablish integrity. You can become a person of high character starting today. How? By becoming a person whose word is law. When you say something, you mean it. When you commit, you follow through. When you mess up, you take responsibility and repent, not just with words, but with changed behavior. Let me ask you a real question. If God dropped $1 million, 0 cents in your hands today, would your current level of character be able to carry the weight of that blessing, or would it crush you? This is why process matters. God is not punishing you with delay. He's preparing your character to handle what he's about to release. And if you shortcut the process, you forfeit the promotion. The builder principle, foundation before elevation. When you build a skyscraper, the deeper the foundation, the higher you can build. That's character. It's the root system that supports your fruit. We live in a generation that wants platform without preparation. They want the stage before they've been sanctified. But God doesn't build that way. Builds in secret before he blesses in public. Moses had 40 years in the wilderness. David was anointed as king, but had to go back to tending sheep. Joseph had a dream, but got sent to a prison before he stepped into a palace. Why? Because they needed character to handle the calling. And so do you. The law of integrity, internal peace equals external power. There's a deep peace that comes when you are fully aligned, when your outer world matches your inner world. That's when confidence becomes authentic. That's when communication becomes clear. That's when leadership becomes magnetic. And that's when wealth flows with ease. Because now you're no longer trying to perform or pretend. You're just being who God made you to be. And that's the most powerful person in the room. Someone who's free from shame, free from pretending, free from the need to impress, and full of truth, grace, and authority. Call to action, build the character first. If you take nothing else from this section, take this. Don't try to skip the process. Don't try to shortcut the development. Don't pray for elevation if you're not committed to character. The world is full of talented people with no integrity, and their success never lasts. But when you build your life on unshakable character, your success becomes unshakable too. God doesn't just want you to be rich, he wants you to be righteous, responsible, and ready. So build the character first, and the cash will follow. Skill 2, communication. Your ability to create worlds with words. Let me start with a bold truth. You do not experience life as it is. You experience life as you speak about it. The most powerful thing God gave man was not a body, not a brain, not even free will. The most powerful thing God gave man was a mouth. How do I know? Because when God created the world, he didn't do it with his hands, he did it with his voice. He said, let there be, and there was. And then he made you and me in his image. That means your words have creative power. You don't just speak language, you speak life, or you speak death. You speak growth or you speak decline. You speak freedom or you speak bondage. Proverbs 18:21 says it best. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Let me say this plainly. You are either building a destiny with your words or you are destroying it with your words. Your communication is not a soft skill. It is a supernatural force. So let's break this down into the 3 levels of communication that will determine your destiny. 1, vertical communication, how you talk to God. The first communication skill you must master is how you speak to the one who created you. We're not just talking about prayer as a religious routine. I'm talking about intimate, bold, and strategic conversation with your creator. Because here's the reality. God doesn't just want to hear your cries. He wants to hear your requests, your visions, your intentions, your strategy. James 4:2 says, you have not because you ask not. A lot of people are waiting on God, but God is waiting on them to speak, to declare, to activate. Prayer is not begging God to do something. Prayer is partnering with God to release something. When you communicate with heaven, you align with divine wisdom, divine timing, and divine power. So don't just ask, decree. Don't just wish, declare. Don't just hope, command. That's what Jesus did. He didn't say, please waves stop. He said, peace, be still. He didn't say, Father, I hope this fig tree stops growing. He cursed it and it died. That's kingdom communication too. 2, internal communication, how you talk to yourself. Let's go deeper. The second layer of communication is the most consistent voice you will ever hear, your own. You talk to yourself more than anyone else. So here's the question. Are you speaking as a child of the king or as a slave to your past? Most people sabotage their future, not with outside enemies, but with inner conversations. They say things like, I'm not good enough. No one listens to me. I always mess things up. I can't afford it. This is just who I am. Those statements are not harmless. They are profane, part of IEs. And the reason you keep experiencing cycles of failure is because your internal communication is sowing seeds of limitation. But let me hit you with truth. Your mind believes what your mouth says the most. So if you want to change your mind, you've got to change your mouth. You've got to talk yourself up the way God sees you. You've got to speak truth even when your feelings scream lies. You've got to declare, I am the head and not the tail. I am above only and never beneath. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I have the mind of Christ. I am anointed for wealth, for wisdom, and for work. Because hear me on this. You cannot build a wealthy life with a broken mouth. 3, dialectical communication, how you talk to others. Now, let's talk about how you speak to others, because this is where your income lives. Your ability to communicate value to others determines how much value comes back to you. Let me say it another way. Communication is the bridge between your calling and your cash flow. People do not pay you for your passion. They don't even pay you for your product. They pay you because of how well you can communicate the value of that product. And that starts with one key principle. Clarity creates confidence. If your message is unclear, your market will be confused, and a confused buyer never buys. So you've got to master how to communicate your story, how to communicate your offer, how to communicate your vision, how to communicate your boundaries, how to communicate your leadership, and you've got to do it with certainty, authority, and love. Jesus was the master communicator. He didn't just give information of revelation. He told stories. He asked questions. He used analogies. He knew when to speak and when to stay silent. If you want to be powerful in business and ministry and in relationships, you've got to master this skill. And no, it's not about being loud or flashy. It's about speaking with precision, with conviction, and with alignment to truth. Because communication is not about talking more, it's about speaking life. The communication challenge, speak with authority. Let me give you a challenge for the next 7 days. I want you to watch your words like your life depends on it, because it does. No more self-sabotaging talk. No more speaking death over your business. No more complaining disguised as conversation. No more vague, powerless, poverty-minded phrases. Instead, I want you to speak boldly to God. Speak truth to yourself. Speak value to others. Speak like your voice carries generational weight, because it does. Speak like you're on assignment, because you are. Speak like your words shape reality, because they do. Because when you communicate like that, people will feel it. They'll lean in. They'll follow you. They'll pay you. They'll be transformed by you. And more importantly, heaven will back you. Recap, communication is creation. Let me remind you of what this skill really is. Communication is not just what you say, it's what you create. It's the difference between average influence and world-changing authority. It's the skill that unlocks every door: sales, leadership, marketing, ministry, and wealth. Master this and there is no limit to what you can build. Ignore it and you'll stay invisible, even if you're brilliant. So speak up, speak on purpose, speak with power, because your mouth is the gateway to your future. Skill 3, compassion, the master key to influence and impact. Let me ask you this. What's the driving force behind your business? Because if your motive is just to get rich, I've got news for you. That's not big enough. It might get you a little money. It might even get you a little fame, but it won't make you rich in the ways that matter. And more importantly, it won't make you powerful in the ways that transform other people's lives. If you want to build something meaningful, something that echoes through eternity, then you need compassion. And I don't mean a surface level kind of care. I'm talking about kingdom compassion, a love so deep that it refuses to sell anything that doesn't help someone, bless someone, or transform someone. Here's the truth. Your clients are not transactions, they are assignments. Every person you serve is someone God has placed in your path. So the question is, are you just selling them a solution, or are you serving their destiny? Let me say it like this. If you sell something just to make money, that's business. But if you sell something because it changes lives, that's ministry disguised as business. And that's what kingdom entrepreneurs are called to do. You want to know how Jesus led with power? He led with compassion. The Bible says Jesus was moved with compassion. Before he healed, before he fed, before he delivered, compassion preceded power. You want more power in your business? You want more impact in your message? You want more results from your work? Then get your heart aligned with He. Let compassion drive your strategy, because people can feel your posture long before they hear your pitch. I know entrepreneurs who have incredible skills. They're great at marketing. They're great at selling. They're great at branding, but they never scale. You know why? Because they only care about what they want. But when your motivation shifts from how can I get more to how can I serve more deeply, God begins to breathe on your business in a supernatural way. And let me be real with you. Compassion does not mean weakness. It does not mean you give your stuff away for free. It does not mean you never charge high prices. It does not mean you play small so people are comfortable. It means that you deliver such value, so much transformation, such radical results that your offer becomes a blessing. It becomes a vehicle of love. It becomes a divine solution to a human problem. When you serve from compassion, you stop manipulating and start ministering. And the funny thing is, people pay more when they can feel that you truly care. So here's your challenge. Fall in love with your client's transformation. Pray over the people you serve. Ask God to give you eyes to see their pain, not just their wallets. Because if you love them well, you'll serve them well. That's why I always say, use the money, love the people. Don't love the money and use the people. Use the money to love the people. That's how you build trust. That's how you gain influence. And that's how you create legacy. If you truly want to become a skillionaire, you better lead with compassion. because people follow love a whole lot farther than they'll follow leverage. Let me wrap this up with a deep spiritual truth, one that most business coaches won't tell you. Your skill set only matters if your soul is aligned. You can learn every marketing trick, sales strategy, AI hack, or funnel framework out there, but if your foundation is broken, everything you build will eventually collapse. And that foundation is built on 3 pillars. Character, who you are when no one's watching. Communication, how you speak vertically to God, internally to self, and horizontally to others. Compassion, how deeply you care about the people you're called to serve. You get these 3 right and everything else becomes easier. Not easy, but easier. Why? Because now your doing flows from your being. People keep asking me, Myron, what's the fastest way to make millions? And I always say, become someone who God can trust with millions. The enemy doesn't care if you're rich. He cares whether your riches are redeemed. The enemy doesn't mind if you succeed. He minds if your success glorifies God. That's why you don't just need a business plan. You need a kingdom plan. You need spiritual alignment before business acceleration. You need to wake up every day and say, I am on assignment. I am not my past. I am redeemed, restored, and ready. I am created in the image of God. I am blessed to be a blessing. So many people are out here building towers like the people of Babel, trying to make a name for themselves. But God is looking for people like Joseph, like David, like Esther, who build for his glory, not their own. You don't need to hustle harder. You need to align deeper. You don't need to get more information. You need revelation. And once you have it, once you understand who you are, whose you are, and what you were sent to do, then it's game